So, I was at the grocery store last Tuesday. Nothing special, just grabbing some eggs, maybe some bread, and I see this guy in front of me. He's wearing scrubs, like a nurse or something. And he's also got a lanyard around his neck from what looks like a delivery app. Two jobs, right there, visible, on one person. He's buying ramen, the cheap kind, not the fancy tonkatsu stuff, the 25-cent packets. And I'm standing there thinking, this dude probably saved someone's life this morning, and tonight he's going to deliver somebody's Chipotle. And he still can't afford real food. That image stuck with me, because it's not rare anymore. It's everywhere. Welcome to 2026, where two jobs still can't pay one rent. Now look, before we go any further, I need to be real with you. This isn't one of those videos where I'm going to tell you to cancel Netflix and suddenly you'll afford a house. That's not how math works. And honestly, I'm tired of people pretending it does. What I'm going to show you today is the actual breakdown, the real numbers, why the system is rigged in ways most people don't even see. And yeah, I'll give you some things you can actually do about it. But more importantly, I want you to understand the game, because you can't win something you don't understand. Quick thing though, nothing here is financial advice. I'm not your advisor. I'm just a guy who looked at the data and got really, really frustrated. So consider this a wide lens view of what's happening out there. Cool? I'm Dom, by the way, and if this kind of raw, no-fluff breakdown is your thing, hit subscribe, because I do this every week. We look at the money stuff nobody wants to talk about, the uncomfortable truths, the receipts, all of it. All right, let's get into it. So here's the thing. Your grandparents weren't superheroes. I know we like to romanticize the past. Oh, they worked so hard, they built everything from nothing. And sure, they worked. But here's what nobody tells you. In 1970, the median rent in America was about $108 a month. Adjusted for inflation, that's like $750 today. The median income back then? Around $9,000 a year. Also adjusted, that's roughly 63 grand today. So rent was maybe 25% of income. Manageable. You work one job, you pay your rent, you save a little, you buy a house, eventually. That was the deal. That was the American dream everyone keeps talking about. Now let's look at 2026. Median rent in most major cities? Somewhere between $1,800 and $2,500. Median income? Around $60,000. But wait, taxes, healthcare, all that stuff they didn't pay back then? Yeah, that eats into your check way more now. So after everything, rent is eating up 45, 50, sometimes 60% of people's income. In some cities it's worse, way worse. The formula broke, and nobody updated the manual. Think about it like this. Imagine you bought a ticket to a concert. You show up, you're excited, you find your seat. And then, halfway through the show, they announce that actually you now need 2 tickets to hear the rest of the songs. Same concert, same seat. But the rules changed while you were already inside. That's what happened to housing. The game changed, but nobody told the players. Let me show you the math that really messed me up. Let's say you make $15 an hour. That's above minimum wage in most states. You're doing okay, right? That's about $2,400 a month after taxes. Give or take. Now let's say you live in Austin, not even the most expensive city. A one-bedroom apartment there averages around $1,700 a month right now. Some places more, some less. But let's use that number. $1,700 out of $2,400. That's over 70% of your income. Gone. Just to have 4 walls and a roof. And that's one job. So you get another one. Maybe you drive for Uber on weekends. Maybe you pick up shifts at a restaurant. Let's say you add another $1,000 a month. Now you're at $3,400. Rent is still $1,700. Now it's 50% of your income. Better. But still way above that 30% rule everyone talks about. You know, the one that says housing shouldn't cost more than a third of what you make? That rule is a ghost. It doesn't exist for most people anymore. And here's the kicker. You're working 60, 70 hours a week now. You have no time, no energy, no life. You're not building wealth. You're not investing. You're just surviving. It's like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. You're not slow. You're not lazy. The machine is broken. So who broke it? That's the part that really gets me. Because this isn't an accident. This didn't just happen. There are actual reasons, actual decisions that were made. Let me walk you through them. First up, corporate landlords and REITs, Real estate investment trusts. Basically, Wall Street figured out that housing is a great investment, steady returns, always in demand. People got to live somewhere, right? So they started buying. A lot. BlackRock alone has spent billions on single-family homes, not apartment buildings, houses. The kind regular people used to buy to build equity and pass down to their kids. Now those houses are rentals, owned by corporations, and those corporations answer to shareholders. Shareholders want profit, so rents go up, every year, predictably, relentlessly. Housing stopped being a place to live. It became an asset class, a line on somebody's portfolio. Next, zoning laws. This one's sneaky because it sounds boring, but stay with me. In most American cities, it's literally illegal to build enough housing. Zoning laws restrict what can be built where. So you've got massive demand, but the supply is artificially limited. On purpose. Because homeowners don't want apartment buildings near them. It might lower their property values. It might bring in those people. It's called NIMBYism, not in my backyard. And it's one of the biggest reasons housing costs so much. We created scarcity, by design. Then there's wage stagnation. This one's been happening since the 70s. Productivity went up, way up. Workers produce more value than ever before. But wages? They flatlined. The extra money went to executives and shareholders, not to the people doing the work. So prices kept rising with productivity, but paychecks didn't. You know what that looks like? It looks like needing 2 jobs to afford what one job used to cover. And let's not forget Airbnb. Look, I love the idea of it. Stay in a cool local spot instead of a hotel. Great concept. But here's what happened in practice. Landlords realized they could make more money renting to tourists by the night than to residents by the month. So thousands and thousands of apartments that used to be homes? They're now vacation rentals. They're not even available to people who need a place to live. Less supply. Same demand. Prices go up. See the pattern? Now here's where it gets personal, because the numbers are one thing. But the real cost? It's not just financial. I talk to people all the time, millennials, Gen Z, people in their late 20s, early 30s, and the story is always the same. They're tired. Not just regular tired, bone-deep exhausted. They're working multiple jobs, multiple gigs. They can't save. They can't invest. They're pushing back marriage, pushing back kids. Some of them moved back in with their parents. And that last one? In 1980, about 10% of 30-year-olds lived with their parents. Now, it's closer to 30%. That's not laziness. That's survival. The hustle culture stuff, the grind set, that's not a solution. It's a symptom. It's what happens when the system demands more and more just to stay in place. You can't outwork a rigged game. That's like telling someone to swim faster while the pool is draining. And the worst part is the gaslighting. You know what I mean. People say just move to a cheaper city. Okay, but those cities are getting expensive too, and your job doesn't move with you. Remote work helps some people, but not everyone can do it. Stop buying avocado toast. Sure. That $12 brunch once a week is definitely why you can't afford a $2,500 apartment. Makes total sense. Learn a new skill. Great advice. But skilled workers are struggling too. Nurses, engineers, teachers, people with degrees and experience. Still can't afford rent in the cities where the jobs are. It's always been hard. No, it hasn't. The data is clear. Adjusted for everything, housing has never been this unaffordable. Ever. In American history, rent is high because of inflation. Rent grew 3 times faster than general inflation. It's not the same thing. I'm not trying to be negative here, but I need you to understand that the problem isn't you. The problem is systemic, and until we name it, we can't fix it. All right, so what do we actually do? Because I'm not here to just complain. That's not useful. Let's talk real options. Some of these are individual, things you can control. Some are bigger, things that need to change at a policy level. Both matter. On the individual side, house hacking. If you can buy a small property, even with roommates or an FHA loan, you can rent out part of it. Live in one room, rent the others. It's not glamorous, but it works. People are doing it. Geographic arbitrage, but the real kind. Not just move to Idaho, actually research where jobs are growing, where costs are still reasonable, and where there's actual opportunity. It exists. It just takes work to find. Negotiate your rent. Yes, you can do this. especially if you've been a good tenant. Landlords don't want turnover. It costs them money. Ask for a smaller increase. Offer to sign a longer lease. It doesn't always work, but it works more than people think. Stack your skills. Not just learn a new skill. Combine skills in ways that make you more valuable. Marketing plus data analysis. Design plus coding. Sales plus industry knowledge. Combinations pay more than single skills. But here's the truth. Individual solutions only go so far. Because the problem isn't individual. What actually needs to change? Zoning reform. Let people build more housing, more density, more options. It's not complicated. We just have to stop protecting property values over people's lives. Tax vacant properties. There are millions of empty units in this country. Some owned by investors just sitting on them, waiting for values to go up. Tax them. Make it expensive to leave housing empty. Limit corporate buyers. Some countries are already doing this, restricting how many residential properties corporations can own. It's not radical. It's common sense. Rent stabilization, not old-school rent control that doesn't work. Smart policies that limit how fast rent can increase year over year. Give people predictability. Public housing that doesn't suck. Other countries do this well. Singapore, Vienna. It's possible to have quality public housing. We just haven't prioritized it. None of this is easy, but all of it is possible. Here's the bigger picture, though. And this is what keeps me up at night. We're turning into a nation of permanent renters. People who will pay forever and own nothing. That's not an economy. That's a subscription service. And what happens to a society where nobody can save? Where the middle class can't build wealth? Where your only options are be rich already or struggle forever? That's not sustainable. Not economically, not socially, not politically. This isn't a left or right issue. It's a math issue. And the math is broken. So where does that leave us? Look, I'm not going to tell you everything will be fine. I don't know that. Nobody does. But I do know this. The first step to fixing any problem is understanding it. And now you understand it better than most people do. You know the history. You know the numbers. You know who benefits from keeping things this way. And you know what would actually help. That's not nothing. That's a lot, actually. So stop blaming yourself for not being able to afford rent. Start understanding the game you're playing. Because once you see it clearly, you can make smarter moves. You can advocate for better policies. You can find the cracks in the system and use them. And hey, if this video helped you see things differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. A friend who's struggling, a family member who keeps saying you should just work harder. Show them the receipts. I'm Dom. This is what I do. We break down the money stuff that matters. The stuff that actually affects your life. No fluff, no fake optimism, just truth and options. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.